This podcast is Entel enhanced. To see pictures, articles and links of what's being discussed, download the Entel app.
Hello, welcome to the BiG Scuba Show.
Hi, my name is Cristina Zenato and I'm talking to Gemma and Ian on the BiG Scuba Podcast.
Hello, my name is Kewin Lorenzen and I'm talking with Gemma and Ian on the BiG Scuba Podcast.
So here we are, once again.
Welcome back to the BiG Scuba Podcast. We are your hosts, Gemma and Ian. Before we get cracking with today's episode, we just want to make sure you have hit that follow button or the subscribe button, depending on what platform you are listening on. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you enjoy what you're going to hear today, we would really appreciate it if you can leave a review and a 5-star rating. So now that's out of the way, we just want to say welcome and thank you for all tuning in. And now it's time to dive into today's episode.
Hello, this is the BiG Scuba Podcast. My name's Gemma. I'm one of the co-hosts and I have Ian, the other co-host, on the line.
Hello there. Hello. Welcome back. And yeah, we are doing this on Zoom. We did have some plans today, but things didn't quite all go to plan as
they went all fluffy.
as often these things do on a Sunday, you know. So, but there we are. We got to say, well, thank you very much for downloading this episode. And,
yes.
What is this episode all about, Jem? Tell us all about it.
What the podcast is about or what this episode is about?
Why should people listen to this episode?
So the BiG Scuba Podcast we talk about diving. So it started out talking about me starting on my scuba diving journey initially. Yeah. So previous episodes relate back to that. We talk to people that are scuba divers, but we also talk to people that are involved in ocean conservation, doing things in the water. So we've spoken to an astronaut. They learn to scuba dive or work in the water as part of their training. So we've spoken to artists, we've spoken to underwater filmmakers. It's a big varied bag of guests.
They are, yeah. And that is always the thing, isn't it? Once you start, that's what I'm telling my daughter at the moment, that once you start diving, you never know where it's going to go.
No, it's so people have learned scuba diving and it's kind of shaped their career paths as well. So, or they've completely changed tack, and because they love scuba diving so much, they've gone down a different avenue. So,
yeah, and this is very true. And before we get into this episode, news out. This is hot off the press. One of the divers who we know well. His name is Simon Cork. He's a Norwich diver. Now, I've known Simon a few years now. I was dive master when actually Simon, they're both friends, came on and did their open water with Crystal City Scuba in Norwich. And we were up Stony and I was dive master on their course. And he today qualified as being a PADI instructor.
That's
How
awesome.
cool is that?
Yeah.
So little round of applause to Simon.
Well
Simon's going to make a great instructor.
Yeah.
And he was, brilliant as a dive master, brilliant in the water all the way through, and really great with people. And can I be your dive master now, Simon?
Yeah, we've dived with both Simons in the Farne Islands, and they're just a great couple of chaps. But Simon, has done really, really well.
Yeah, I thought you were nearly going to say they're a great couple.
No, don't say. We know they're
that might get a rumor started, mightn't it? Yeah. No, they're not a couple. But anyway, we ought to say, seriously, well done to Simon, because that is, becoming, moving up from. It's tough moving from being a, just an advanced diver or dive or rescue diver to then move up to that next step as being a dive master. But it's a whole big leap then moving up to these dizzy heights of being a PADI instructor as well, because there's a lot to be asked of you, and big responsibility as well. So that'd be awesome, and it'd be great seeing him as an instructor now.
Yeah, no, really good. Yeah, so great for the Norwich Crystal Seas as well to have another instructor on the books.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So that's really good. And Simon is another example that once you start your open water journey, you just don't know where it's going to take you. And it's good to have an open mind and say, hey, let it lead me.
Yes, lead you to the water.
Exactly. Talking about the water. So coming up, we are talking to a podcast favorite and friend of the podcast, Cristina Zenato and Kewin Lorenzen.
Yes. We've had them on previously in 2020. We spoke to them both, and then we had a catch up with them together in 2021. And this time we've caught up with them again together because they are.
We spoke to Cristina way back. One of our first guests in episode 9, Gem.
Yeah. And I think we did maybe 3 episodes with Cristina talking about sharks, caves, and just general diving, and had people of the water.
Rule of thumb. And I can think of, instances of when we've spoke online through things that Cristina shared. And also, when Christina's really good because she often comes out with little nuggets, and we often ask on the podcast, don't we, our guests, have they got a nugget to share? And that might be a one-off or it's a not very often for these guests, but for Cristina, there's a lot of depth, and also comes out with words of wisdom, and not always about diving.
No, and I think if you have a look at her, go and follow her Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, then you'll gain a lot from reading her posts. Definitely.
And we spent a lifetime, I think it's about 20 years now, studying and listening to the Bahamas reef sharks, getting to know them and their understanding how they behave. Spent a lifetime taking the hooks out of the sharks, when they've been caught by fishermen and what have you, and snagged.
Caves, wasn't it?
The caves, with the Nemo system, and exploring that. And Kewin is now, part of that, and as a, he really supports her, and he's helping her with the photography side of things as well.
Yeah, and it's been great for us to see their journey from 2020 and see where they are now, in their partnership, and how they're now working together with lots of projects.
So we spoke to Cristina first before we were introduced to Kewin, and this was right in the midst of not just our lockdowns, but in the midst of the lockdown that was happening in Bahamas. And there, if you think our lockdowns were tough, theirs was even tougher.
Well, they'd also had Hurricane Dorian not long
on the back of that as well.
Before, so they'd got quite a lot of things to deal with. So, and that comes across in the podcast. It's it's tough times, wasn't it? So.
If you haven't listened to those episodes, there's some really I would say to you, recommend do that. Go back to that, because I think when Cristina explains about why she got into studying and listening to the sharks, and why she was into the whole caving and and exploring that, and she talks about the guy who got her into that caving and exploring. It's it's touching. It's is worth listening to. So do that.
But listen to this one first, and then go back.
Absolutely, definitely. Just saying as well, Kewin is a CCR cave diver as well. So I don't think we mentioned that. So
and he's become quite a creative character in terms of photography and videography, so which is lovely to see. So
if you look, if you're looking at any of the particularly the recent stuff of Cristina, either in the caves or in the with her sharks, chances are the photo's been taken by Kewin. And actually, there's a great photo of Kewin actually with a guitar, isn't there?
Yes, and that was all done with them working together, and creative shot.
It is, and it's always a pleasure. And there's one thing that does come to mind, something that we shared about, which Cristina shared about beforehand, and we went diving last year, and we decided not to dive, didn't we? Because the dive site had been moved. It was we were meant to be diving in Norwich. And the people who had organised the dive they weren't actually divers, so they didn't really understand the whole, the physics, and not the physics, the whole safety thing around
the risks,
diving, the risks involved, and it weren't really suitable. And we called it before we even got in the water. Said, no, can't do that, I'm afraid. And it was one of them 5 Ennies. Remember the 5 Ennies? And something that Cristina shared about a while back, and that we thought, for any reason, you can call a dive. And there's often things like that. So if you're not following Cristina and Kevin, then do that. And let's sit back and should we chat to them and get them on?
Let's have a little natter to them and catch
Excellent.
up.
We actually have a little surprise. We're not in the Bahamas.
Are you not?
No, we actually traveled to New York.
Oh wow, cool.
For the our World on the Water Scholarship Society.
Oh yeah, that's today, isn't it?
Yes, it's this weekend, and I've been invited to be the keynote speaker. So,
wow,
yeah, brilliant.
It's been somewhat of an adventure. We haven't finished yet. We haven't got our luggage, so.
All right.
So you're only just there then?
We were supposed to arrive Thursday. We arrived yesterday afternoon, right in time for the social. Tonight I'm speaking, but the luggage
is somewhere.
Oh, you got your luggage. Oh, flip.
Yeah.
It's been a nightmare. We spent the night on the floor in Miami airport. It's just been like total miscommunication. One clerk told us this, the other clerk told us that. The only one that was really good is the one that got us on the flight to come here.
So
that's been chaos here in the UK as well. A lot of the airlines and holiday firms didn't think that it'd be very popular to go away, so they haven't got a lot of staff on. But for some reason, then said, right, we'll allow all these holidays, and opened up all these tickets for people to get flights without having any staff to actually man any of the planes.
I think it's the same issue here.
The same issue here.
Been losing all the holidays and things.
They canceled a ton of flights because they didn't have crew.
Yeah.
And then some of it they claim that on weather, but it's just like, wait, there's 2 flights that go into New York and 2 that don't go due to weather. It's like, it was just really bizarre. It's like there were like 2 flights into LaGuardia, 2 canceled, 2 flights into JFK, 2 canceled, 2 flights into Newark, 2 canceled. I'm like, if it was weather, it would be
all of them
canceled across the board. But they claim it on weather with us. They claim it on pilots with other ones. We were in line with luggage. There were people that were supposed to, all American Airlines were supposed to go to Cancun, Barbados, Chicago, or the entire New York thing, with 3 airports that created, because, Newark, LaGuardia, JFK, they just were basically bouncing around people. And, but we're here. Tonight I'm speaking. I'll figure it out what to wear later.
You can go shopping.
Just need to go shopping.
We went yesterday a little bit to get a couple of things. We were in our clothes for like about 36 hours. It's just that we need to at least, wear something a little bit different. But like tonight was supposed to be the night. And I'm like, I don't feel like going and get more of that stuff. But we'll see. Well, it's New York. Luckily it's New York, right?
Yeah. Oh well.
It's easy here.
Are you going to have time to have a look round?
We were supposed to do our first look around yesterday morning. So we planned to come in on Thursday, kind of like pots around on Friday. We'll do a little bit of look around today. Last night we were at the social, at the Explorers Club. We'll do lunch today at Explorers Club again. And it's an official tour, so we'll do that.
Cool.
And then we have tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah.
Are you meeting Richard Garrett?
Maybe
because he came on. He's the president, isn't he, of the Explorers Club?
Oh no, he's not there. We are with our World Underwater Scholarship Society.
Yeah, really nice guy though. Really nice guy.
So
yeah. Oh well, that's good you've made it. And
yes, for me it's a big honor to speak. We host the scholars. I've been hosting scholars for the last 12 years. Is the people that are put on my couch trained for free for a couple of weeks. And so to be asked to speak as a keynote speaker of the award dinner, the goodbye, the farewell to the exiting scholars, which I just hosted, and the welcome of the new ones, for me, it was very much an honor. I'm extremely nervous, to be honest with you.
Oh, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to the announcements of who's going through.
They already announced it in April. If you go to our World and Water Scholarship Society, they have the new announcement. The European scholar is Hannah, and Hannah will forgive me because I don't remember her last name, but she's from Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Hannah Douglas, and she's from Ireland.
I thought that was. I didn't realise that. I thought that was tonight. I must have misunderstood.
Tonight is the awards ceremony, but they're already been announced. Their bios already been published. Who they are is already been put out there. So by the time we go to the social, we kind of have a little bit of idea who is.
Yeah.
It's an awesome thing to be involved in, though, and it's a brilliant thing.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It was really fun last night. We were having dinner with the UK, one of the UK coordinators, and then with the American, she's learning how to coordinate under Robin Parrish. But next to her was Stefan Andrew, and he was a former scholar from 2000, I think 15, 16. And he's now also contributing, he's part of the board of directors. So, but it's also cool to see where they go on their journeys, because this scholarship is a tremendous shortcut. These scholars, which is extremely well earned. This is a tough scholarship to get.
Yeah.
It is a tough scholarship to maintain, and is a year, by the time the year is over, the scholars are, exhausted mentally, physically. Is a lot of travel, is a lot of expectations, a lot of deadlines. So it's not, like willy-nilly, you get to travel around for a year. It's like, no. It's a lot of work, adaptation. They go from host to host to host, and each home they come in, and I understand, right? My rules are, Kevin rules are, then you go to, Gemma's rules are, and Ian's rules are, and each host they go to.
The dog's rules are.
The dog's rules are, yeah. But like they get a shortcut. So what, let's say, took me 20 years to build, they can actually build it in a year if they're really good.
Yeah, good fast track. Yeah.
But then it should be, shouldn't it? It should be hard work, shouldn't it?
It is
be
hard
a challenge.
It is very much a hard work. Trust me, I watch them. They
don't stop.
They don't stop. You're either training and diving, and then you come back, and obviously we don't stop either, but I guess we take it for granted in a certain way. But these are like 22, 24, and they come back and they're like, we need to do this. And they keep thinking about the next thing, the next email, the next interview, the next project. They have reports to write, they have posts to make, they have sponsors to thank. I remember having some of them where at a certain point at 10 o'clock, I'd be like, right, okay, now you eat something. So they definitely work hard. And again, household rules. And we live in a small apartment. I wake up at 5 and I tell them, listen, at 5, I cannot be tiptoeing around my living room. I have to put on coffee and I need to start working. So it's not that I wake up just to wake you up, but like, I need to start working. So you wake up with me.
Yeah, it's your rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's.
I mean, you can try to sleep, but I'm not going to tiptoe. I need to turn the lights on. I need to make my coffee. I need to sit at the computer. Sometimes I do those 6 a.m. calls. I do 6 a.m. podcasts. Because I communicate with the Eastern part of the world, which is already ahead. And I need to do it before I head out of the door to go diving.
What's happened in the last year, because obviously we've got so many followers, and obviously they're keen to follow your journey as well, and just follows on from, I think it was episode 70 the last time we spoke to you.
Wow.
It was when?
Episode 70, so it's back in May last year it came out.
When we spoke to you both, and then because obviously we spoke to you before that, you was originally one of our first and early guests.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's like world.
Yeah, you guys are doing great. I follow a little bit. I'm sorry I'm not as active. I just see them like, oh wow, they're amazing. And then obviously we have to scoot out and do everything else.
We know that you get sort of kind of pushed and pulled from, different areas and, different people. It's fine. It's fine. It's cool.
Yeah, but no, we're just plodding along, aren't we? Well, not plodding, but we're moving forward, and it's amazing where it's going at the moment.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah,
it takes a lot of work. We know that. We can see you're putting in a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah.
We get there though.
But it's a matter, I'm sure I feel like I'm talking to someone who knows this probably more than I do. It's all a matter of balance, isn't it? It's about, you do a bit of time here. Work has to come first, because that's what keeps the roof over our heads. That has to come first. Kids as well, and then whatever's left, that's what's time is on the podcast and anything else.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's maybe a little bit easier because work is comes first, but also work is our passion.
Yeah.
So in a certain way, but work comes first. Between the passion and the work, still work comes first. Luckily, I think there is a component of passion no matter what.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When we go back, we actually have not a scholar, but we're hosting someone else right now, and she's actually watching the dog. So when we go back, I'm going to finish our cavern course, and then we have a couple of artistic ideas that Kevin and I want to develop, and she's going to help with that. So it's a mix of like, okay, hosting a student, doing our thing, and then it's like, okay, now we go and play for a day. And
well,
then
it's also seeing for them to see how we actually live, how our day-to-day life actually is.
Yeah.
I tell them, I said, like I have a lot of people, I receive a lot of messages. You started as well. I want to do what you do. How do I get to do what you do? I want to work every day with sharks. How do I do that? And it's like, what you see is this, right? What's below that is
massive. Yeah, like an iceberg.
It's massive. Yeah. And I call it the tip of the iceberg. All you see, in a certain way, maybe I'm guilty, but I try to be a little bit better on social media. Oh, Christina's working with the sharks. Christina's working with the caves. It's kind of like, yes, but Cristina wakes up at 5 so that we can do the emails, the communications, the posts, the answering, and all of that. Because by 8 a.m., by 7 a.m., we have to have walk the dogs, we have to have prepare the gear, and we're shooting out of the door to go into the other part.
What's been happening the last year in terms of sharks, caves, and then any other projects, people of the water? So,
all right. Well, I think the biggest change for me has been professionally. I took up a complete, we took up a completely freelance route. So completely abandoned the managerial part of what was my job and dived literally into strictly our two biggest passions, which is basically sharks and caves.
Yeah.
And finally was able to eliminate that part that I kept telling people, just like sometimes you need to do certain things to do others. And right now we're like really in the midst of doing something that we're truly passionate about.
Yeah, we're basically doing all the things that we love doing, and we don't have to do all the things that we didn't really want to do.
Yeah.
And it's,
So you're completely...
And we're busier than ever. It's absolutely scary. We have 10 dry boxes of gear in our living room. For the people that don't know, we live with 3 giant dogs in a 60 square meters apartment. And we basically launched without any preparation. And for years, I wanted to prepare. I wanted to do this. I needed to have this lined up. And I was checking the cost and checking this and checking that. And it was never the appropriate time. And then I guess life and circumstances just went push. Oh, by the way, you're ready. And I was like, yep, I'm ready.
But also all the circumstances that happened also showed us that we were ready, that we actually could do this. That we weren't depending on the other job anymore, that we actually could do this on our own.
We kept waiting for everything to be lined up perfectly for us to do the launch. And then there was nothing like, there was nothing left. It's absolute the desert. And we were still standing. We were like, wait, but this is working. And so then we started figuring things out. We're still, figuring things out, but it's just, we're very busy. Very happy with the kind of busy that we are. I'm teaching, which is my absolute passion, and Kevin is all into his camera and
But Cristina and Kewin, that's really good that you've come back on and come back to join us today for this episode. How now things are kind of returning back to normal. Is it good? Are you finding, you said you're busy, but are you finding things still like exciting now things have gone back, or have they not gone back to as they were before the COVID and all that? Or is it things now gone back in a different way, would you say? Are you still doing things the same, or?
No, we had to change completely.
Yeah.
Completely our model, the modus operandi, and I'm glad things are not the same. This is the biggest thing. Is in hindsight, with 2 years struggle. Don't get us wrong. I mean, we had the double tap. We had the Hurricane Dorian, and then we had COVID, and they were like literally back to back. Yeah. In the midst of it, we questioned.
We spoke to you, didn't we, a couple of times, right in the thick of your lockdowns. And actually, we were in lockdown as well. Then I think on the last time we were out and you were still in lockdowns as well. So you had a much rougher time of it than what we had in the UK. Definitely.
Well, we questioned it. Kewin questioned it more seriously maybe than I did. I was a little bit more obsessed, but there's also a timeline that is different. I had put in like 26 years, and Kewin had put, it was in the beginning of his career. And Kewin can share more about that thought as it happened. But in hindsight, it was, I know this is going to sound crazy, but the best thing that could ever happen to us. It literally really proved that no matter the adversities, we were resourceful, we were resilient. Something that in a certain way I can say I knew, because I went through, I don't know, however many hurricanes and storms and interruptions, but it was the little last maybe scab to be put off. So for us in hindsight, not that I want another one to happen ever. No. Thank you very much. We're good. Put it in a pocket as an experience. But ultimately, yes, it was a demonstration. I hope it's been a demonstration for quite a few people. I know a lot of people suffered and struggled. Maybe some have not recovered, but I would say it was positive in the end. In the end, we can look at what have we learned and what has meant for us. Kewin can share his part of the journey.
Yeah, because I mean, I was still fairly early in the career. So, and then all of these things happened, and it felt like all the things that I was working for and working towards just kind of like got pulled away. And then, you start questioning, is it worth living this life if I can't, do anything anymore? So I was considering, should I keep doing this or not? And now, I mean, when you look at it in hindsight, then we are in a better place than ever. Really, because usually, when you try to do something new, like this big and moving on our own, you're always like, okay, I want everything to be lined up perfectly before we do this shift, but you will never get there.
No, that's a perfect world.
Yeah, there's always going to be something that is not lined up, and you have an excuse not to do it. But now we were pushed into doing it, and it's better than ever.
It's quite cool in some regards, because I think if I'm trying to think of a positive, but the positive is that it's pushed people to make evaluations and take time to reflect upon their lives.
Take a risk as well.
And you've done that, and thought, right, you know what, you rather than work, and then the whole life balance is so skewed wrong, and you're not enjoying things. It was a time to think, actually, I'm going to change the way I go about things and get the balance in life better.
And come out a lot happier.
And I think we spoke to a lot of people who've done that.
Definitely.
I would say absolutely. I remember the day we walked home with this letter, and like I said, for me, it was 26 and a half years of dedication to one company. And I put the backpack down, and I was just like, I said, that's it. No more income, no more assurance, nothing. But the only thing that I felt was relief. In a certain way, it's a choice that I had been hoping, and I've been talking with other people like this. Like there's some people says, well, I go to work hoping that they're going to fire me. Well, that and if people are listening, if you're going to work thinking, I just wish they would fire me, then that is your fever. This is a thermometer. Your fever is over 106. is bad. You need to go to a hospital. But I talked to another dear friend of mine. She said, I go to work thinking, oh, I wish they would fire me. And they didn't fire me. They just said, well, you're home, you're done. Thank you very much for your 26 years of service. And I came home and I actually felt relief. You remember, we came home and I said, wow, that's it.
Yeah, you feel you can breathe.
The phone went quiet. My commitments to do all their social media were quiet. The crazy calls and everything went quiet. And in the silence, and that burden that kind of like lifted, all of a sudden I was just kind of like, well, I'm feeling better. I have more energy and I'm happier. And I literally was like, we'll figure it out where we get the next paycheck from. Now, this required for us also to adapt, right? We come from the diving industry. So for like quite some time, we actually had to figure other things out. It's not that things came on a silver tray. It's like, oh, we're going to stay at home for a year and a half figuring things out. So we still had to work very hard. We had to be resourceful. We had to be a little bit inventive. But also that taught us, it's really funny. Every time something happens, a mixed reservation, the boat that we charter boat breaks down, the storm is coming. We look at each other and we literally go, it's going to sort itself out.
Usually does.
Usually does.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only a drama that you've got up here that makes it a problem. So
Yeah.
And once you release that energy and that drama thing, really, it's not that really things work themselves out magically, but then you approach them differently. And that energy that you exude is basically how you end up working with that. And it's one of those, people said, oh, I guess you bet you wish you'd done it 10 years earlier. And I'm like, in a certain way, yes. In a certain way, no. This was the mature time. I'm a 50. Did I wish I'd done this at 40? Maybe, but maybe at 40 I was not ready.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. So in terms of caves and caving, how's that changed from a year or so ago? Are you still doing like investigation work and exploratory work?
Well, we are having some issues now with the new DEPP permits. The Bahamas came out with these permits that you need for doing any kind of research,
including surveying caves.
Really?
Yeah.
And
why do they bring the permits out?
It's a long story. They say it's to protect the local knowledge, but then these permits are like extremely, they're $1,500 per person. And they're like, we want to prevent the pharmaceutical company from coming in and acquire the knowledge to get cancer out. Of course, on a pharmaceutical company, $1,500 per person, they just, they dish them out for breakfast with the peanuts. For us, it ends up being, like $3,000 for us to go and explore, map, survey, and provide all this information for free. So we pay for us to go, we pay our gear, our fuel, our technology, and on top of that, we have to pay the permits, then provide all of this for free. So we're kind of like on hold with exploration in itself, primarily survey. We are not stopped from exploring. We can still hike through the forest and explore and submerge and go, and if we want ley line, but we're right now holding back a little bit on the survey part, literally making them out. But we've been cave diving more.
But also one of the issues with the permits as well is it's a new process and they haven't really figured it out how it works. So it's not just, fill in the form and send it in and you're good to go. Yeah. It's kind of like they're still figuring out how to do this.
They launched the website and the website wasn't even like working correctly. So we just sit in here and just let it sort itself. There's more powerful NGOs that are taking care of figuring these permits out. But at the same time, we've been cave diving more. I've been teaching more cave diving, so I had more requests than I've ever had maybe in the last 5-6 years, which is really cool.
That's good.
We have more guided tours as well.
More guided tours. Like certified cave divers that want to come and do rebreather cave divers. It's just been, and it's very dynamic because it's, like I said, one-on-one. And especially the guided tours, you can look at the diver. You usually do a traditional, okay, let's go in this cave, in this tunnel with this cave diver, see how you are and see also how we are.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, wow, that's your level. Okay, now we can go this part of the cave, or I'm going to take him that part of the cave. And
Yeah, that must be good. Yeah, because it's, that's all growth for you as well, isn't it? Having different people come in, different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you had the guys that come in with the camera, and then you end up taking videos of him with the camera. So he hands the camera over to Kevin.
And it was a very nice camera.
Very nice camera.
I told him he could leave it behind, but he didn't. So.
And that's the thing, you don't just sit there and go A, B, C, A, B, C, A, B, C.
Yeah.
You really jump around.
Well, you personalize it for each person, so it's very custom. Whatever they do, that's for their level. And
even the teaching I do is very custom made. Each person that connects me, some maybe they're a little bit uncomfortable, but they're divers, but they want to do this and they're curious. And so I do these 1-day skills. I tell them, let's not take a course, because a course has performance requirements.
Yeah.
So to have a card, you need to do these 5 things, but maybe you just need to really work on these 2 things. So I do these one-on-one, I call them diving ergonomics. And it's just something that you do with me. I plop you in the water and I literally watch you. And I let you dive. I just want to see what happens. What gear you're wearing, what fins are you wearing, how do you kick, how is your body position? And I love that part of teaching. Yeah. And then I'll do little tweaks, like, oh, what would you like to try? Some people, I made them try different fins. Some people, I just adjusted a little bit the harness that they were wearing, or the BCD that they were wearing. And their diving changes completely. Then we go into whatever the other, if they want to do a course. So each person, I have the luxury, right? The capability, which I've had it before, even when I was teaching open water courses. I still do that. But it's a luxury and capability to also get those divers that maybe did not have that treatment during their open water or advanced course to finesse without having the pressure of conquering a card to then go and maybe do something that I really wanted to do. Like I just did a lady, she did 1 day of that. And then we end up doing a shark course and a cavern course. I have another lady, she's coming in. We're going to do 2 days of that, plus a wreck diving course, a shark course, and like 1 day of cavern tour. She doesn't want to do the class. So everything is, for me, is fun.
I also think that it's so personalized to each person, and they're so different, even though it could be the same course we're doing, but they're so different, and we customize it to the people and how they are. It's never the same course. I mean, it's always different.
It's weird because, like, I've said to Gemma quite a lot, to help Gemma, I think, become a stronger diver, to get some diving with some other divers and not just me, because it's very easy to get into a pattern with one particular diver, and when I think if there's anything that makes you think about your training is when you dive in with somebody new, because it's very easy to get familiar with a certain diver when all you've ever known is one particular diver. And I think it'd be really good for Gemma to get some other skills, learn, go dive with some other people, because people do dive. It's quite interesting. What I'm coming to is you analysing how people are in the water, because in my limited experience, I can see how people are very different when they're in the water, and some people take it to diving very natural. They're just like fish, where some people aren't, and their fin movements are a lot more, and they stir a lot more dirt up and things like that. And some people like way up from the bottom. Some people like to virtually go along the ground, and some people don't always stick to the plan either. And that's been my experience. And you kind of think, hold on a minute, I got to remember my training here, and I'm going to stick to the plan. And although they're now going to wander off into the deep, and
that happened to us the other week, didn't it?
Yeah, and that's happened to me a few times. When you get put with people who don't know to dive with, and I think that'd be a really good experience for Gemma, just to broaden Gemma's experience in diving. When you're looking at people in the water, like you said, you might get them to change their fins. what sort of things are you looking at? What comes to mind?
Well, that's the thing. I look at two things. First of all, I actually look at their mindset. So most of the people that contact me and through what they write, I actually say, hey, would you like to connect with a Zoom call? So like it's literally a personalized service. So I'll hop on an hour and a half, 2 hours Zoom call with someone that has committed zero to come and visit me. And we have a conversation and I ask questions, would you dive? Some are diving questions, but people express themselves. So for the mindset is, I think, the key into unblocking people's potentials. And so that is the way I do it, the way I actually go at it. And it's very much this, I've had students that before they come in, we did 2-3 Zoom calls. I said, can we hop on another Zoom call? Absolutely. That way they get to know me. They're investing a lot of time, they invest in money. They need to feel that our energy is compatible, because there might be instructors that your energy is not compatible with. There might be students that your energy is not compatible with. And that is the thing. There's nothing wrong with that. I changed 6 yoga teachers before finding my yoga teachers for life. The other ones were good yoga teachers and not bad yoga teachers, just was not the one that really get me. So I do these Zoom calls and then we come up with a little schedule. By the time we hit the water, we already talked several hours, 2 to 3, up to 4 hours of conversation, of exchanging experiences. Where have you been? What have you done? And then I have certain things for certain gears, how it's shaped. I know immediately what it's going to do in the water. And I know how that gear, depending on the diver, will affect the diver no matter what. Only if I put it like, I haven't dived with you guys, so I can't say that, but I know if I put it on me and Kevin, we can adapt really quickly on the gear. But I look to the gear and I know that gear creates more difficulties in a different kind of set. And I'm sorry to say, but is not a manufacturer thing, is models or shapes of each manufacturer. So everybody thinks their gear is super perfect. There's every manufacturer creates extremely good harnesses and BCDs, and then they do a model and I'm like, Then I put them in the water and we go diving. We literally go swimming, and then I start watching body positioning, so the trim. I start watching kicking techniques, where the legs are. I start watching how much of their hand movements you're using, their respiration, which is another one that is also triggered by the mindset. And usually on the first dive, I try to adjust very, very little, like very minimal things, maybe I remind them little things, but I just let them dive. They need to, maybe they haven't been diving for 2-3 months. Maybe they're coming out of COVID hiatus, so that's even longer. And then we come up and we discuss it, what I've seen, what I think, what I recommend. Shifting sometimes the position of weights on somebody's gear, shift literally how they dive, shifting the displacement between one fin model and the other. And Kevin here can share his story of shifting fins during your cave class, what meant. And it's not that one fin is better than the other, is like that fin specifically works with this body type on this tool. Some women have, for example, very floaty legs. So putting in a little bit of a heavier fin helps then not having to constantly try to kind of like compensate for these heavy legs. Some guys have very heavy legs, so you put in a different kind of fin and allows them to actually have a little bit of a lift. Shifting the weights from a waist position into just a back of the shoulders position just gives you that. So I do like little personalized tricks. Then eventually I might say, I really see that combination of what you're wearing is. I had a student, she came in she was like maybe 90 pounds of weight. What is it? 45 kilos of weight. Tiny, tiny little woman. And she was diving in fresh water with a 7 mil with 17 kilos of weight.
Wow, that's heavy.
And she came to me, she said, I cannot dive. She was convinced that she could not dive. She thought she was the worst diver ever. And every other person that she went to, she took course after course after course. And every time they made her buy a new BCD, she's like, should I buy? I said, stop buying. I said, so it's not that I changed gear immediately. I said, stop buying gear. I said, tell me what you have. And then I said, okay, bring down this one. We can work with this one. Right. And she came in and she's like, oh, you'll see tomorrow, it's salt water. I need more than that. And I'm like, no. And we ended up having her in 4 kilos in salt water with a 7 now.
Wow.
Right. In 3 days of work. And then I said, I only had 3 days because she booked me on the last minute. And then she stayed to go diving more while I was doing something else. And she went out with a regular group. And she sent me the message on WhatsApp the next day. She said, it's the first time I went diving and I had fun.
Yeah.
Wow. What a difference.
Yes. And to me, I've done this, my open water students, I've done that with my open water students. All it takes is a little bit extra time. Some of it is experience, but basically that's what I do. And the first one starts here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It starts with the mindset, the body, you know, how tense they are or not, how they breathe. And sometimes all I have to do is work on that.
Yeah. And then that hopefully prolongs their scuba, you know, journey and their life. It's just, whereas, you know, like that lady, she might just said, well, I'm not doing it anymore.
Yeah.
She was about to give up. And then she found me somehow. And I had the first Zoom, and then we had another Zoom, and then we had a third Zoom. And then she finally came down. And I met her for dinner. We had one more talk, and she was super nervous. And I said, let's just go in the water. I said, don't worry about it. Let's just go in the water. There's no performance requirements, because sometimes that's the other issue, right? You keep taking all these courses instead of just going diving.
Yeah.
So I have a cave student, and she did the side mount, then went side mount diving. And now she came back to finish her intro. And I told her, I totally agree with you. I said, why don't you go cave diving somewhere else? Go and experience other caves. Go experience other cave divers. So she's going to Mexico, and then she's coming back to me to finish her full cave.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah. No, it sounds so. All your courses 1-to-1s, or do you do bigger groups?
If I do bigger, if it's booked together, like if it's a family.
Yeah.
But I will not pair 2 students that I don't know and don't know each other.
That's really, really good. Yeah.
So husband and wife want to do it together, you know, but like 2 friends want to do it together, say we want to do this together. Absolutely. I split. So we split the shark courses, we split the shark experience, I do the overhead, but they have to come in together. So if the 2 of you say, Cristina, I want to come and do your cavern class. Yes. But if Gemma calls me and she doesn't know Ian, she said, I want to come for the cavern class, then Gemma's on the cavern class. And it will be very rare for me to say, Ian wants to come and do the cavern class. I said, okay, I'm going to pair you. Sometimes maybe the cavern class will be the only one where I would pair a couple of people, just because it's actually easier to teach when you have 2. But otherwise, no. If you're coming to do diving ergonomics or anything, it's you and you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very well. It's personalised then as well, isn't it? And it makes it a bit different to your standard open water.
Do you get people come to you want to learn tech diving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Primarily the side mount. My 2 main things are side mount and overhead. And overhead is caves, not wrecks. I mean, we don't really have wrecks in the Bahamas. The deeper set that weren't that kind of tight. I mean, everything is artificial. So, but a side mount usually, and caves are my 2 forte for tech diving. I'm trying to figure it out how to get the rebreather people, the one I want to do side mount rebreather specifically. But with time, a little bit of we're in the infancy of trying to push that as a next thing I will.
I think we're getting there. We are starting to move.
Yes, we have. I've had enough requests. It's just a threshold, but now we figured out something else with the manufacturers. I have a little threshold because coming to the Bahamas is expensive, and then on top of that, you put a rebreather and a rebreather class. But we're figuring out a different route, and it's going to be come and try the rebreather, dive the rebreather, do your certification, then eventually decide if you want to buy that rebreather. So there's no initial investment in the rebreather itself.
Which is the biggest part of that.
This is the biggest part of the whole back. So we're figuring out with the manufacturer how to have a couple of rebreathers for people to take the class. without having to invest $7,000-8,000 into a unit and then go, oh wow, this is not the unit for me. It's like, ouch.
Yeah. They are about £10,000 over here.
But so the kits that I use is the 6,400, but that's bare minimum. That's without your shear water computer. That's without, if you want a couple of bells and whistles, if you want a thermostatic regulated canisters. By the time you put in at least one computer, either Fisher cable or fixed head or anything like that, yes, you're hitting the $8,000-9,000.
Yeah. So Kevin, do you help in the courses as well, or
yes, I do.
Have your own projects?
We usually do like the two of us are going to be there. I might be there and taking pictures of them or videos, and they can actually see themselves. I think it helps a lot when you do something and you don't necessarily know what it is you're doing, how you look, and then once you see the video and in the water, you say, oh, you did these things, and then once they see the videos, they're like, okay, I got it. I can see what you're talking about. I understand now.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good teaching tool as well, and have them see how they look.
Yeah. So you mentioned camera and video work, because we haven't really spoken to you about that in the past. So is that kind of developed over the last couple of years?
Yes, it has very much. I mean, since Cristina mistakenly handed me her camera on one dive, she hasn't seen it again afterwards. But and I very much, fell in love with it and been doing a lot since.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing to get your head around, I think, photography, isn't it? I'm trying to encourage my daughter at the moment in photography, and she's now going to start to learn to dive as well. I think that'd be really cool to master photography.
And there's so many aspects to it as well.
Yeah,
you can always keep improving. If it's videography, if it's photography, and then we also just started photogrammetry, which is a lot of fun to do as well.
Wow.
The thing is, he has actually, when I handed him the camera and I looked at him, he has photography is a technique, but it's also in a way artistic view.
Oh, good, yeah, definitely, yeah.
And I realized where I had, I have the technical skills maybe, but he really has a better eye than I do. And it is what it is. But like we were doing, I don't know if you've seen it, but we did some pictures in this hole with this ladder in. And I've been in there with several photographers. I've been in there taking pictures myself. And I was diving with a student and we were at the end of the dive. So he said, oh, there's a beautiful light. I'm just going to go and take some pictures. And he literally, for the first time in the last 27 years that I dived that hole, positioned in a way to exploit the light and the silhouettes like no one else had ever seen it, including myself, of being in that hole. And I'm like, oh, wow, I never thought about that point of view. And it was just absolutely stunning. It was like, oh, yeah, that makes, perfect sense to me. So, yeah, I haven't seen my camera since. But in a certain way, it's kind of cool to see.
What camera equipment do you use? Do you mind me asking?
We have a GH5.
Yeah. What is that?
It's a Sony.
The Sony GH5. Okay.
No, Panasonic. Sorry, Panasonic.
Panasonic.
Panasonic GH5 in a Isotta housing, which is Italian and red, because how your housing looks has everything to do with how you take pictures.
That's the most important.
And then we use Eon strobes. We're hoping for the Isotta strobes, but they're not they're available now, I think, but it's been kind of hard. And then
we have Kelton video lights that we usually use more in the caves.
Yeah.
So we do a lot of photography with video lights, photography, not only videography, with video lights rather than actually strobes.
Yeah.
We've been experimenting a lot. It's actually really, really cool stuff. I've come up sometimes with the ideas, or maybe Kevin comes up with the ideas. Then I have like the execution part of the technical. Right, I'm gonna do this. We're gonna put the tank there. We're gonna do this with the regulator, because some of it is like, let's say, creative. The pictures that I did with Kevin and the guitar. Obviously, he was taking gas from a tank, and then we were hiding it, and then we did the stage lights. So I'll come up with more the technical execution of something, and then he's done the pictures. I've done the pictures. So it's kind of fun.
Now we started on a new project.
Yes, want to tell them?
Yes, we can tell them. So we started kind of like on a project. I have a little bit of a side project. I wanted to combine my two passions, which is, the underwater world and music.
Yeah.
So I'm started to write an instrumental album that I wanted to do.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And the idea was to have an underwater picture that represents, each song.
Yeah.
So it's like a song and then with a picture.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like working out the ideas for the pictures for each song, and then
That's brilliant. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's just another aspect of the underwater world, isn't it? And what it can open up. It's just
And when you think about it, how one of the best things about being underwater sometimes is the sound, isn't it? And we've had somebody on, they talk about the reef noises. And when you don't hear the boat, I'm not talking about the boat noises sometimes you hear, but actually just being able to listen, and you do hear the noises of the sea, and that is an amazing thing.
So yeah, we're doing although there's some creatures that are extremely quiet.
Yeah.
We were on those turtles. I mean, they're humongous. We've been having turtles on the dives. They're like 2-meter long turtle, and you turn around, they're literally here. So it's like, how do you get closer? Because they're silent. They're completely silent to us, at least. Sharks are silent, so it's kind of fun in a certain way. There's like this 2.5 meter.
Can the sharks make any noise at all?
No, sharks cannot make any noise. There is one shark that we know that can make a little of a guttural, almost like a booming sound. Yeah. But sharks are completely quiet. Absolutely quiet is just one of the characteristics of sharks. Yeah. So it's funny, right? You go diving at Tiger Beach, there's like 4-meter tiger sharks, and think about like what an elephant would do as a noise, or even a cow through a field, and you have these 4-meter sharks gliding through absolutely quiet, or like the loggerhead turtles, just like lately has been loggerhead turtle galore.
Wow.
And
2 meters long. It's just like huge.
They're huge. And you just turn around, and also it's like, like if you don't physically look that way, it'll pass behind you and you never see it. And it's like literally the size of a mini car, like a little Volkswagen buggy, and you still don't see it, don't feel it. That's the incredible part as well. But yes, we've been doing those ones. For us is like the fun part. We have the cave, and then we do the creative part. For us is fun. In a certain way, it's not easy, but it's easy.
Yeah, well, but that's the thing, right? Is on our day off, we go back in the water. It's
but you do what you love.
Yeah, I get all these emails. Oh, I want to do. How do I do it? How do I start? And I usually tell them that there's two things. You have to love this way, 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 way more than you think you love it. Because when you start doing it professionally, there might be the day where you wake up and you have a headache or a stomach ache. There might be the day where you cannot go out celebrating the night before, because the next day you do have a client, right? And that's part of the package. So you go out there, even if you're like, oh God, I'm going to be really cold today, but it's part of your professional part. So how do you keep the passion alive? And I tell people, so you have to keep something for yourself. I always been diving one step higher than what I teach. I teach here, I go diving here. That's mine. That's my challenge. I start teaching here, then I go diving here. And there's one part that remains private, remains secluded, and remain ours, because you need to do that to keep your fuel and your passion alive. And the cookie cutter repetition is what's going to kill it. And that's the reason why I think where we are right now with the variety, being able to custom made, even if I'm teaching to say side mount class, side mount is so challenging. You really teach well. Is what I think will keep anyone that wants to be in diving interested. You learn, you dive, but then for the professionals is keep something for yourself.
That must get tricky.
You are going to burn out.
That must get tricky though, because you've always come over to me as being very passionate about your training with your students and the people who you are mentoring, and being able to hold something back for yourself. That must be tricky, I guess.
Oh, No, because I don't hold back on my students.
No.
It's not that I hold
I
back.
didn't mean it like
What I'm
that. I was
saying
trying
is,
to.
for us is I do teach cave diving and I do teach advanced cave diving, but the level of exploration that we do, 4-hour dive on a rebreathe or anything like that, that is mine and mine only. And it might be that once in my lifetime I get the one student that can actually go at that level.
Yeah.
But by the time they get to that level, they're usually, they build themselves up to that. So there's a one part of what I do that is ours, the creative part, although we're thinking about creating a workshop for what we do on the water with the images and there's a lot of people that do that already. They do like the dress and the picture, swimming pool. We want to come up with something a little bit different. We really want to.
Well, the Keefers are well known for that. I think you know them, don't you?
Ken and Kimber.
Yeah, Keefers.
Yes. And there's so is Lucia Drokova. So they do like it's in the pool. It has a safety diver. This is what they do. We're thinking about creating something that is just requires a different kind of diver, and it's like, well, how do you do it? How do you do negative breathing? How do you do sinking? How do you kind of like do it? Obviously, I'm going to be there as a safety diver, but also how do you actually become yourself more empowered into what it is?
And I guess lighting will come into it as well, doesn't it? To get good photos and all that is play with lighting, and it's very.
We're not going to do the photography part. We want to do the. I had somebody say, "How do you stay on the ocean floor with your eyes open in salt waters?" Like, how do you get there? And so that is a part of workshop that we want to do. We're still going to do the pictures. We're not photographers enough, we feel, to teach you how to take those pictures. We'll take the pictures, but it's how do you get yourself to open your eyes on the water in salt water for that picture?
And to be confident and
to be confident. I want you to be confident. I want you not just to do it for the pictures, but it's just like, wow, that was really, stressful. There's like 6 people around you to help you accomplish that.
That's no fun.
Become confident with 1 or 2 people to be you comfortable in the water, to be able to be part of the creative process. So we're
it's exciting time. It's really exciting.
It's good to bring new.
Well, we also just launched a trip.
Yeah, we started doing liveaboard trips.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, very good.
So the concept behind that is a liveaboard explored the shark of the Bahamas. The component is being on board and have like educational parts, the one that I use a lot on social media, and do the part where they actually get to experience the shark dive that we do. They don't get to do the hands-on like the courses we do, but there's no other liveaboards that does the kind of shark dive that I do with the Caribbean Reef. And so that's going to be part of the trip. So we'll do that shark dive, why it's done like that, the differences. So swimming with the sharks and diving with the sharks with a traditional shark dive, going to Tiger Beach, or some amazing reef around the island that you can now reach on a day trip. But the key component is get to really know and understand sharks through this combination. We're going to do this for this structure dive. Now watch, we're going to go down and we're going to do something right after the structure dive that everybody else will tell you that is, you shouldn't be doing that, that this is what's going to happen. Like, let me show you what I know that I've done for 30 years, but combine it with education to also dispel some of the myths of what it is related with shark diving, shark handling, and sometimes you still get a little bit of a backlash still because people are ignorant of what really is the truth of what's going on. So I'm like, well, we're just going to make you experience you both. We're going to do a structured shark dive with my Caribbean reef sharks. We're going to come up. I'm going to take my change suit off, leave everything on board the boat, and then we're going back down to do an unstructured dive with all the sharks that we've just been structured shark diving with, and see what happens. Here it is. Here's your proof. So we're going to do that throughout. The first one is around the islands of Grand Bahama, but we're actually exploring another option. Nobody has considered that island in the Bahamas, and it has 2 facets of the trip. So I need to go and scout a little bit more.
See
if the people that told me, you know, like they're like, oh, here, there's plenty, blah, blah. It's like, I'll see. I want to come and scout and create something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Unique experience again.
Will be good. That'd be good for the people who want to go on board, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So how are all the sharks? Have you had any new sharks appear? One's disappeared.
We had the one with the yeah. Unfortunately, we have fairies new. Whoa.
Was it grandmother? Wasn't it grandmother?
Grandmother was there.
Yeah.
Crook, Hook, Grandma.
Stumpy.
Vulcan, Stumpy. We haven't seen her.
Mm.
She was not doing too well. She was really, really skinny. She was about 13 years old. She was reaching the end of her.
Yeah.
What's their sort of lifespan roughly?
15 to 18.
Yeah.
So when I record a shark for 13 years on the same dive site,
wow.
if you think they don't come as soon as they're born.
Mm.
And she was getting a little bit skinnier, and then she was gone for a while. Then she came back, and now we haven't seen her.
No.
4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
But Hook, Crook, Vulcan, Steph, Liz are there.
I can't believe you remember all
Grandma.
the names.
Huh?
You do well. You remembering all the names.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember all of them. I'm just trying to think also who is there. Half Baked came back. She was gone for a few months, and now she's back. A couple of the nurse sharks. Forficula is there. That's true.
Have you ever? Do they like stay reasonably local, or do they actually wander quite away?
They
stay reasonably local.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see them on dive sites, you know, maybe like even just a couple of kilometers away, but that's still considered local. So
it's not far from them, is it?
Yeah. So sharks are doing pretty good. We have a new girl. I call her Fairy, from Fairy Tale, but she's been badly cut by a propeller, and she lost her tail. And then she had 2 giant cuts. So, you know, she's a fairy without a tail. So she's only a fairy. And she is doing amazingly good.
Swims all right without a tail.
She's missing the upper part.
Yeah.
The lower part, she can still speed up and everything. When we first saw her.
It's funny, when she came in the first time, it was like she had been there for 10 years. She was acting like one of the old. Yeah.
She comes in, and the first time, never seen her before, and this shit, a huge gash, completely open. I was like, oh my God, this shark is not going to make it. And she came in and came straight into my chest and laid on the ocean floor. And I'm like, who are you? So
that was the first time we saw her.
Wow.
First time I saw her. She behaved like she'd been there forever and ever and ever. And I know it's not Stumpy, because Stumpy is way bigger girl.
It's amazing behavior for a shark, especially that doesn't know you or hasn't come across to do that. That must have seen how the other sharks were behaving around you.
Been having a natter about it.
Well, do they learn? You know, it's the same concept of the hooks. When I start removing hooks, other sharks that we never seen before show up with hooks. And this is not something like, you know, I'm not inventing this. I have Kevin there, and he's on the board, and all of a sudden I say, hey, look, there's a new shark that we never saw before with a hook.
And we also have one particular male that we know lives on a different part of the reef, because we always see him there. He never comes on the dive, and every time he does, he has a hook. And then after we remove the hook, then he's gone again. He only comes for that. Otherwise, he stays on the other dive site.
Typical male.
Yeah.
just using. Yeah.
Just using me.
So have you seen more hooks in the last year, because things have returned to normal?
It was in waves. Actually, it's been pretty good. I would have to say it's been still pretty reasonably good. We haven't had as many hooks as I'm waiting now. July 4th weekend is going to be the test of time, because July 4th weekend is a big American holiday. We're such a spit away from Florida. But no, I've done dives where there's 0 hooks for like dives, weeks and weeks on end. So
that's good to hear. Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah. So what about people of the water? Has that evolved? Are you still involved in that?
People of the water is still standing. We received some more people that are kind of like creating. We combine with Belinda Bussotti, and it's called Art Action. And so they create art, and the art for sales gives something to people of the water. in all honesty, I have to admit, we've been so busy with everyone else. I kind of like trudged along with people out the water. We received some donations. I haven't used, it's kind of funny. We host all these people and I keep using, personal funds to do everything. So it is there with the intent of creating a little bit more of a structured program. But at the moment for us, it's just quite a lot to manage.
Yeah.
So we have the support of like 3 little small companies, small donations. It's just figuring out a little bit the next one. And my idea is I definitely want to use people of the water. My concept was the exploration part, but that we have the dependence from the DEPP permits. So we're taking a breather on that one. And the biggest one for me is education. So being able to have a somewhat sustainable income from donations, which I haven't been able to. We're learning how to run a nonprofit. I have to admit, is actually more work and effort than I thought it would be. And then create a sustainable program that supports the education part. Like I said, right now we're still financing it out of our own business. But eventually it'll be cool to say, for 3 times a year, we do have a scholarship available for which you do apply and have a, we can offer that because our capability of offering the scholarship is dependent on our business side. Right? So we're still offering, we're hosting about 6 people a year, 2 weeks per person. Living, food, diving, training, all of that. So it's quite a lot. But eventually I want to be able to have it like on the website, on People of the Water, for people to apply to with 3 different levels. But that requires for a more direct commitment for someone to say, okay, let us sponsor your thing every year, for example. I'm working on it. I admit that is not my forte, not yet.
Well, all these things take time, don't they? It's just, there's any...
and right now we have a lot of very exciting projects, so it's a lot to deal with right now as well.
So what does the rest of the year hold? If you...
Kevin?
Well, we're super busy with everything right now, so it's going to be a very exciting year. Next year we have some very cool projects coming up as well, so I think we're doing...
The rest of the year is this is our last and only break. We never really celebrated us getting married or being together. We married on a town hall on one day and went back to work the next day. Came home that evening and cooked a regular dinner. We had someone as a guest on our couch. I know. And she was there helping rebuilding the YMCA. And I was like, oh, let's take New York as this scholarship society, introduce you, and then do a couple of days. And then after that is we're literally going till the middle of December. We have a little breather.
We have November, DEMA.
Oh, November, we're into DEMA. Yeah, but that's work.
DEMA,
We're doing DEMA in November, and we have a little window on the second half of July, but I'm pretty sure it might get filled. And that's the cool part about what we're doing right now is our schedule. Some people, when I did that, they were like, oh no, you don't want to abandon the security and the established. And it is, sometimes you look at the calendar. I remember I was looking at the calendar and I said, oh my God, I said, Kevin, September, October, and November. And now I'm like, wait, we only have 10 days in July and a little bit of time in October.
Yeah.
And then we'll take the usual break. Last year was my first, and I will continue that. This has to do more with me in a certain way, but also with Kevin in another. He helped me see that. I always been like so obsessed with work and with what I do that I forgo quite a lot of things. I don't know if you remember, but my father passed away in 2019. He turned 80 in 2018. And that was the first birthday that I ever celebrated of my entire diving career. Because to me, it was like, oh, it's July, work, this part, that part. This is when this is lined up. So I went home and did his 80th, and then he passed away nine months later.
Yeah.
And it's not that I regret, it is what it is. But last year I was like, you know what? As my mom left, time is ticking. I've put in a lot.
Yeah.
And Kevin helped me with that. So our decision is from now on, the Christmas holiday time, it's our time.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, and it's great to see you go back home,
Yeah.
to both your homes over Christmas. It's just, that must have been really special.
Yeah, last year I did 5 weeks. I'd never taken 5 weeks off in 30 years of working.
Wow.
And we did Denmark, then I did Italy with my mom, then Kevin came down, and then last year we split for Christmas. And then from now on, I will do Christmas with one family, Christmas one family, Christmas one family. And it's not a religious thing for me. It's just like, it's a very special holiday. It always has very beautiful memories. And I told them, unless somebody comes in and says, wants to give us 10 grand per day, every day, and make it really, 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 really worth it.
It's good that you're getting the balance right,
Yes.
Yeah.
And I needed to see that balance with the moment I disconnected. The moment I completely unplugged, I was just kind of like, that is the part that is missing.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and I think, well, we can say similar things. Yeah, it just makes you reevaluate everything.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Well,
And
you did the. We had the. I do mentorships also, online mentorships, not only physical ones, because I have so much time. But I have a mentorship from the Explorers Club, Dina, and at that time you and Zuzu were there. Remember?
Yes.
And so I made them. She's 24, Zeus is 24, Kevin is 27, and I was just like 26.
Calm down there.
You're turning 27. You're ready. You're more 27 than you're 26. But I said, talk to them. And so Kevin sent something very interesting. He said, so you should try things. And then if they don't work, you just change and try something else. Make sure, obviously, you try them and change it for the right reasons. Sometimes it's not, try not to run away from things. But when I listened to him, I was like, it's true. I said, so we're trying things. And then if it doesn't work, we'll reevaluate. But that complete disconnect, having that clean table in front of me, it was very much the reevaluation I personally needed.
Yeah.
And it makes me go back to work much happier.
Being happy.
I am better, we're better to our customers because yes, I'm not going to be available for Christmas. You know what? If you really, really want to dive with us, we're available for the other 10 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Right.
I have people that reschedule. When I say, sorry, I'm not available, they'll find other dates. But when we recharge that way with our families, with our loved ones, and then we come back, then we're ready to give 100%.
Yeah.
But if you keep dripping, if you keep trickling and trickling and trickling and trickling, at a certain point you will come and you'll find us depleted.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you've got to, it's variety as well, isn't it? It just, it stops the monotony of life. Keep going. Yeah. But no, you can see that you're really happy and tell by your smiles. It's just like, so I'm sure, it's just really great watching your journey.
Definitely. How are you getting on with social media? Because like, I know you're busy on social media and that. And there seems to be like a forever growing number of platforms that seems to come about. How do you find that you're managing it better, or not better, but maybe differently because like we find that we try and share stuff regularly, don't we? But it takes so much time, a lot, doesn't it? And it's not just always creating something, it's all the sharing and the tagging in and things like that. And you're probably more busy on it than what we are. How do you find the balance? How do you?
Zero balance. That one.
I don't know.
That is the early morning. So I have 5 platforms. I have a Facebook private, which is and this is because of the story of Facebook and how you were not allowed to have more than 5,000 friends. I opened the Facebook public. Then I do LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. And then when all the other stuff start coming on TikTok or Snapchat, I kind of like hold back for a little bit and watch them. And so far, I haven't engaged in any of those ones.
Right.
Furthermore, I also do the two social media for People of the Water. I curate 3 social medias for the Women Diver Hall of Fame as a volunteer job. And I also do the social media for another entity for free, just to help them out.
Yeah.
But for me, I had Gigi, she's sleeping on our couch right now.
Yeah.
And she said, it's insane. She said, you post every day. So has taken some work, but I think I kind of like figure it out. Some of it is also watching the reaction of the crowds. I do not follow the time posting. Oh, you're supposed to post on Wednesday at 11 a.m. I'm like, I'm diving. So mine is a morning thing. Yeah. It's a morning and it's like sweep across the board. I finally were able to separate my private Facebook page where we are friends. I don't know if you notice, there's more puppies, Kevin, Cristina. Sometimes there's a little bit of work, and then the public has become really my educational one on Facebook, which is really strong. Very beautiful feedback, quite a lot of like thousands of views and dozens of shares, like sometimes 100 shares on something. And I address certain things. I try to address there and Instagram somewhat similar. To the crowd of Instagram is really funny. It shifted from the professional side to more the personal side. So it's very interesting for me to notice, because I engage with everyone. I like every comment, and I answer those minimum full comments, and I answer appropriate questions. Now, if somebody is being inappropriate person, I just delete them. But in general, I answer all the questions or anything like that. With Instagram, I realized there's very much a component into the personal part. Body image, a female in the workforce in a male-dominated world, stereotyping. So it just goes beyond just the sharks in themselves, which still has a pretty strong thing, but it's more like, who is the person behind this? Right. Twitter is great. I mean, Twitter is like quick stuff. No matter what I post, it seems to go well. Quite a lot of feedback back and forth. Followers grow by themselves. Be ready, we might have a barkie. And LinkedIn is the one where I may find there we go, more like-minded people. We're the same people that were in the apartment before. So, but I do post almost every day across all social media. And I let, to me, as part of it is sometimes it could be a negative comment from someone. Sorry, guys.
That's all right.
So sometimes there's a negative comment from someone. It's like, you know what? I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that as my educational post for today.
Yeah.
So the last post that I did was like, this girl wrote, oh, sharks are vapid and stupid creatures. If they didn't bite people, nobody would worry about sharks. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to actually do a post about that.
Yeah.
About how they're now vapid and stupid and all that. So so please keep sending some negative feedback so I can actually use it for education. I also have the really negative, aggressive people. Those were done. But I'll do.
And you've had a fair share of like comments and things like that, and you handle it well, and you just have to delete, don't you?
Delete, block.
Some of those are just not worth the time it takes. It's not worth it. Just move on.
I really try to educate everyone, and I've even gone through some people, but when they start with certain comments and then they turn around and make it sound like you were the bitch on the block, and it's just kind of like, no, dude, you started with a word and exclamation marks and question marks and challenging even, like, oh, what you're writing. I found on the internet, what you're saying is not true, because you've only been in the water 28 years with the sharks. So internet warrior, no better than you. So when they start like that, it's just like,
you know where it's going to go. It's just,
I have now a faction from Australia that I'm trying to purge out. They're just like, and then I sit there and I just look at them and I'm just kind of like, don't you have anything better to do? Save your forest, your koalas, take your drum lines off, just like you have to come and attack a couple of people they're doing nothing but like petting and touching a bunch of sharks who, if they didn't want to be pet, they wouldn't be pet, because if they don't want to be touched, you don't force a 2.5 meter animal to lay in your lap.
No.
Right? We're not hooking them, we're not tagging them, we're not doing anything with them. We're just working with them and promoting a different image. And you come there from Australia, petty party, and then just like, don't you have anything better to do? You know, just go and worry about, you know, industrial fit. And those people is just like, you know what, you do not deserve my energy and my time. This is delete block.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, but yeah, it's always a challenge, social media.
Yes, I mean, last night we were talking with the new scholar, and she said, oh, I feel like the imposter syndrome. And I'm kind of like, well, join the club. Same as like you get 96 positive comments and 1 negative comment, and you sweat, that, you know, your heart rate races a little and you sweat a little bit. I'm like, oh, this person doesn't like what I do. Why? What did I do wrong? And it's just like, you know what? You can't please everyone. And no, this person is not that it doesn't like what they do.
And that's one of the things I think we need to learn, because it seems like it's always that one negative that fills the most, even though
and triggers.
Yes, even though we have 99 beautiful comments, then it's that one, and that one shouldn't affect you that much when you have so many good ones.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like it's always that one negative that affects you.
I don't know
if
you experience the same. Do you get negative comments?
We kind of occasionally we do, don't we?
Really?
Yeah.
You probably get more of it than I don't really get much. You seem to get more comments.
But and then maybe like resentment a little bit, as generally, towards the podcast. But but I don't think we get
always took it as a mark of success, to be honest, because I remember when we started this, and there was comments, and I
they're looking
about it, and I said, well, it's great to have the feedback. Just means we work harder.
I mean, what we do, I know it's very controversial in a way, and what we do is, in quote unquote, for people, very scary, both the caves and the sharks. So we see also, you know, the expert opinions. I've had someone, I remember on LinkedIn, says, oh, I did a post about cave diving, and he's like, oh, if you cave dive long enough, you're going to die, you know. And I was just actually thinking, gee, thanks, good morning to you too, you know. I'm just like, I mean, that is a very ill thing to say to someone who cave dives for a living. Oh, if you cave dive long enough, you're going to die. I said, well, I hope, you know, to die in my sleep. It's kind of like traditionally in my family, so hope to actually inherit that from the ones that done that already. And it was like, no. And then I said, I said, that's very offensive. I said, that's actually very ill-wishing. And he says, well, you know, I went with this dive masters in a cave in Turkey and we nearly died. And I was just like, hold on right there. I said, you were an untrained diver on a single tank with an untrained dive master going where you were not supposed to go. So your experience does not make it the reality of the fact of being a trained cave diver, right? And so that is part of sometimes the comments that we receive.
You can delve a bit deeper.
I take pride in what we've achieved and what we do. It takes a lot of hard work, and it's thanks to Gemma's organisation that we've got as far as what we have, because I'm not organised at all, and I'm first to admit it. If it weren't for Gemma, we would not got this far at all. And
it's team effort.
It's teamwork. He's a technical person. I'm the chatty person.
We've had there's been, you know, you listen to people talking, and I'm going to mention, so I won't mention their name, but I had to pull somebody aside at a show because I didn't agree with their comments that they were making publicly, not so much about us, but the things that they were saying generally. And it was they thought it was talking about the diving community, but actually what they were saying is very divisive. It was actually they were talking about
themselves only,
them only, and forgetting about the rest of the diving community and everyone else who are doing what they can to, you know, highlight certain things in the diving world and in the marine world, you know. And there's a lot of people out there, yourselves, us. We could look at, on social media, who are the regular people who are putting a lot of hard work in, and sharing. And this person was making a point of actually going against all that. And it was I wasn't quite sure whether to do it or not, but I did.
You did.
And this person's well respected and very well known in the diving community. And we're kind of considered as newbies, but I just thought, what? I actually, take pride, we are going to be about for the foreseeable future and beyond, I very much hope. And, we should defend what we do. And by taking this person aside and having the word in their ear to say, actually, I don't agree with, and actually done it twice, and said, actually, I don't agree with the things that you say. And because do you realize how that comes over? You're actually basically saying that none of us exist and none of us matter. That's what you're saying. And that this person actually took it quite badly.
You were defensive, weren't
yes. And,
but it was the right thing to do. Yeah, because if you don't make a stand, then
you have to protect yourself, and you have to, I think, especially when you see all the hard work that you're putting in.
2 days ago, I had someone posting twice, and that's a little Australian faction, because I think I'm stupid as well, but I can actually find you. But like they start posting these comments like, oh, Cristina Zenato is just in for the business, so she's not this and she's not a conservation. I'm like, she's in for the money of exploiting sharks. And I'm kind of like, there's a professional side for which I need to make money, which I need to make a living. And I do apologize, but actually just because the sharks make money, that's the reason why the Bahamas protect them. Furthermore, with the money we make, I said, we host about 6 physical people per year.
Yeah.
2 weeks per person, everything included, never mind the hundreds of hours of Zoom conversations and educations and all of that. What have you done recently to support the marine ecosystem? So yes, I am a business. We are a business.
Yeah, because you are.
We have to put food on the table. We have to maintain ourselves. And that's how we make a living. We're not exploiting sharks. The sharks are part of our business as much as are part of our love. But that was the gist is like, oh, you're just a business person. I'm like, no, I actually genuinely, how many job offers we've given up that does not fit with our passion. And it's just like, oh, you're a business person and you have, you guys should not be so supportive of such a person. It's like, well, what is the last scholar you hosted?
Yeah. That's right.
Putting it in perspective, isn't it?
It is.
People have a very blinkered road.
You've got to carry on doing what you're doing. But
sometimes you have to, I don't think it's defend yourself, it's more like make a stand.
Yes. Yeah. Totally agree.
I had the other one, I had someone once, I was talking to an instructor and she bought this mask. She said, oh, it doesn't work. And I said, well, it's not really the mask for you. I said, why didn't you go with the other mask? She says, it's a little bit too expensive. And I said, well, that's a mask. I said, that actually works better for your face. And someone else barged in and she said, well, you speak English because you're sponsored. I was like, one moment. I said, I bought my gear for 22 years before the first sponsors approached me and said, oh, wow, I've been seeing you using my gear for the last 10 years and you're doing so good for the scuba industry. So people also don't look at the history.
No.
So her first approach was like, well, you speak so easily about the most expensive mask because you're sponsored. I'm like, you're joking, right? I said, I bought gear, scuba gear. I have boxes and boxes of gear for 22 years before the first manufacturer said, hey, we would like to help you out. The tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
So it's not defending, is sometimes you have to say certain things.
Yeah. That'd be good.
And keep on doing what we're doing. And at a certain point, keep on doing what we're doing. Thank goodness is swipe left.
Exactly. Yeah. Or just block. Yeah. No, but you just got to keep positive and carry on.
I love what you guys do. You have brought in something. If I had started this podcast, this BiG Scuba Podcast, I could have not brought in what you brought in. Gemma's journey into the diving, right? The difficulties, the curiosity. As a seasoned diver, I was watching on some of these podcasts. I was like, oh, look, she, in a certain way, a little bit hard ass or a little bit, like a calluses. I was just kind of like, oh, wow, she just discovered that. And I'm like, oh, that is actually really amazing, because I would never be able to transfer that again.
Yeah.
I have lost that. It's gone. It's a skill gone off my skin, because I'm a little bit like Scar, the fish in Finding Nemo, with a little bit scar around my face. And so as I start following your journey, I'm like, how amazing that Gemma is actually sharing being a newbie and what it means being a newbie, because I kind of like, I somewhat know, but no matter how much I'm going to try to share it, it will not come across the same way, because people will go, oh, well, you have 28 years experience. You have no idea what it means being a newbie. I'm like, well, no, I do, because I did all these courses through my life. But that perception is there. But Gemma was genuinely a newbie. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this is what I stumble across. And I'm like, how cool is that? There's a part of the population that are related to you and to your journey and to your relationship that in a certain way I have somewhat lost. Yeah. Because I have evolved.
Yeah. Yeah, but we're all at different levels, new diver, and then, your professionalism, but you're always learning.
Because what are you on now?
50, but you don't need to be
53.
53 dives.
Yeah, and you don't need to be to 20,000 dives, 28 years experience to do the BiG Scuba Podcast. That's my point. My point is the BiG Scuba Podcast works because Gemma has from 0 to 53 dives. It's part of the journey. Yes, you invite us and we talk about all the other things, but it's also that other part.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly right.
Yeah, and there's always new things, like we've just got a camera, and now diving holding a camera. Yeah. It's just like, wow, I did never have thought that it would be possible, like at the beginning, because she's just worrying about everything else. But now it's it's just a new thing to learn.
Yeah, it's just something else to learn.
Yeah, and share that journey, because there are those people that just bought their first camera.
Yeah, they're struggling with the same things, and it's very inspirational for them to have someone to do the journey with in a certain way.
Yeah.
And then exactly in diving with live seals, that's a new experience as well. And it's just like, and you just
think, don't worry about the calluses, old-fashioned people.
No, got to make our own path and enjoy it at the same time. So, but no, it's pretty good.
Yeah, brilliant.
Well, it's been great catching up with you.
That has,
So
can't believe it's been a year since we last all spoke.
It goes so fast every time.
It does, yes. Thank goodness I see that's a positive part of social media.
Definitely.
I'd be like, hey, did you see what Gemma and Ian are doing? Oh, wow, look at that. They have the diving van now, and it's actually, that's a positive part of social media. Sometimes you kind of like connect with someone and you feel like you haven't left off the year ago. There is that evolutionary
part. You still see what you've been doing for the last year, so it doesn't feel like it's been a year.
No, and it's great having other people follow us and interact with us, because people, and then we even got recognised, didn't we? And
that's weird.
It's just like, whoa.
that was a bit strange, wasn't it?
Yeah, somewhere completely different in England.
I was trying to think, do I know you? They went, you'd be, yeah.
I got stopped in an airport in Turkey. I was transiting back from India. I was in Istanbul airport, and this girl comes around me. She stops in front of me. She goes, "You are Cristina Zenato." I was like, yes. She said, I recognize that from the malas you're wearing on your wrist and your Instagram account. And I was just like, hi. And she introduced herself. She was a passionate shark lover, follower, and I had a few hours. And so we sat in the airport and chatted.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but everybody gains from that as well. You've got that experience, that moment.
It's weird though, because it's like
it is weird. It is a little bit weird. I like I never think that people will recognize me sometimes the way they do in some circles. I think I'm still very anonymous.
Yeah, but then that's a good thing. Diving is not just diving, it covers everything, and that's what we try and promote.
This is what I was talking to Honey about the other day, because like Honey's now had her 12th birthday, and she said to me, it started a few weeks ago, because she's already done SEAL team, and we were in the pool practicing with the camera, weren't we?
Yeah, and she loves the water.
And she was just like, she took the camera and she was away with it in the pool.
We didn't see it anymore.
No, and I.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds very
familiar. We kind of chatted about it before, but she really wants to learn, and which is really cool. And I said to her, you never know where diving leads. Once you get your open water certificate, that is just like a license of, right, where is life now going to take you? Because you don't know. And we've had so many people come on, yourselves, you know, with countless people, that diving has suddenly opened up another life, another where they can then go.
That's what happened with Kevin, right?
Yeah. I mean, I completely changed my life when I got that license. I was like, oh wow, I can do all of this.
But then you came to me because of sharks.
And then I fell in love with the caves. Absolutely fell in love with the caves.
And the technological part, and then all of a sudden is
the camera.
The camera and the technological part.
And they never went home.
Well, it just keeps expanding. As soon as you get the license, it just unfolds in front of you. There's so many paths you can go down.
Yeah. My son's not so keen. I think he has done SEAL team and that, but I said, you ought to come, and he's like, no, I'll leave it today. He's more into football at the minute.
Yeah, but there's time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody's got their different timeline.
She's like, I want to learn. So yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, be another little scuba journey.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
They cannot all follow your journey. You know, you'll find along the way, Ian, like I never had kids. I wanted kids. My kids are these scholars or these young people that come and stay. Yeah. And good friends, my friends, Elisa said that once. I remember once I was just sitting and we were having lunch. I was like 40. And I sat there and I said, do you think I said I made a mistake? You know, it was just one of those days. I said, I should have had a kid. And she said, which is your kids, your own blood, might not follow your footsteps. They might grow up to never even want to dive. Last night we were talking with the Women Diver Hall of Fame. Her daughter does not dive. She does blogs about art and culture in New York.
Yeah.
And Kathy Waig is this enormous diver who actually trains scouts. So she does hundreds of scouts. So young people, her daughter doesn't dive. So your kids are the young people that you have hosted and trained and welcome on your couch. So they're the like-minded kids.
Yeah.
So in a certain way, you know, your son might not follow those footsteps, but it might follow into something else.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's right.
I might come back to it.
Yeah, it might do.
The guitar underwater.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's really good.
Brilliant. All right. Okie dokie. Well, it's been, like I say, it's been absolutely brilliant. You've got a great night ahead, but by the sound of it.
Yes. We actually had a great day. We need to figure it out the luggage now and figure it out.
Well, I hope it turns up.
Central Park was worth a visit. Go see where they sang Strawberry Fields. That's what.
Yeah, I've been in New York dozens of times. The friends that we're staying with, I used to visit almost every year. This is
my first time. So before we got here, I was training my neck, you know, to look up all the time.
I know.
I do recognize a tourist in New York.
See, well, we've got no skyscrapers here, and I remember my first time in New York, and I remember looking up and then looking up more and thinking, oh my God, they're in the clouds.
It was funny when we were landing with the plane as we were coming in. I was like, oh, that's a giant building. Oh, that one is bigger. Oh, that one's even bigger. It's just like
it's amazing.
It's amazing when you come in,
so big.
But that's what my friend told me. Is this Ron? He says, you know, the joke that we New Yorkers have. He says, how do you recognize a tourist in New York? Because they walk around like that. Because New Yorkers don't even pay attention to it. They just go straight and look forward. But like tourists are like.
Yeah.
I felt a bit intimidated a little bit when I had this real queasy feeling when I went to New York, because it just felt like, you know, I just come from the country in Bungie, you know, and you know, we don't have big buildings, and to go to New York was such a big, you know, that was amazing to see. All these buildings,
but it's almost like being in a village. That the cool part about New York that I love, mind you, we're in Chelsea, so it's almost like you're in a village in the city. So there's like availability of everything at all time and a land of plenty and everything, but the neighborhoods are
distinct,
and like really like a tiny town in the middle of this humongous metropolis, right? Yeah, but if you go, you know, through Times Square is very touristy, but to me the feeling of New York City, and that's what I love coming here, is like it's almost like in a small town within the abundant availability of this humongous metropolis, and that is the love of walking. And walking through New York is easy. Manhattan, we're in Manhattan.
My favorite building was the Flatron building, which was originally the world's tallest building.
Yes.
When that was built.
Not anymore.
But I loved sitting by the window and just watching the world go by. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Just awesome.
It's like you're in a film set.
And that was at night, and the place didn't go quiet at all.
No.
It's just like
last night we walked from the Explorers Club back here. It's like 66 blocks or something.
Wow.
Yeah. Alive.
Yeah.
All was missing was daylight. There were people working on buildings, there were people jackhammering the roads. There were clubs open, restaurants open, stores open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Have a fab time tonight. And,
Thank you.
Yes. We want to say thank you very much for coming on. It's been really good seeing you both, and we'll keep following you and liking and sharing.
Yeah,
and
great for having us again. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's great to see you so happy, and just so much on as well.
We shall hopefully get out there one day to actually see you properly. Be good.
Yeah. Well, we might see you next year. Maybe.
Yeah, we're coming to the UK for the dive show in March. Cool.
2023. Yeah.
2023.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see you there.
I can't remember the dive show name, but
Go Diving.
Go Diving.
UK Dive Show it's called.
If it's in March, that's the Go Diving with Scuba Diver magazine.
Yes,
Mark Evans.
Yeah.
Yes, Mark Evans. Yes.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I'm going to be attending that one as one of the speakers.
Oh, brilliant.
Coming up.
We'll be there.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Oh, cool. Perfect.
Yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah, that'll be so good.
Yeah, that'll be good. We'll see you then.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. See you soon.
All right.
Bye.
See you. Okay. Bye.
Thanks a lot. Now that does wrap up today's episode of the BiG Scuba Podcast. But if you want to hear more from the podcast, make sure you hit that subscribe or follow button depending on what platform you are listening on. That way you will never miss an episode from us. But if you are listening on Apple Podcasts and did enjoy what you heard today, we would really appreciate it if you head to the show page to leave a 5-star rating and review. It really does help us. If you do, please take a screenshot of that review and send it to us on Instagram, and we'll give you a shout out to say a big thank you. If you have any questions for us or anything that has been mentioned in today's episode, be sure to reach out to us on any of our social media platforms or send us an email. The links are in the show notes. We will get back to you no matter what. If you have made it to this point in the episode, we both want to say a big thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.